Hi, welcome back to JV Foodie. Today is Eat Whatever You Want Day, so we figured we would make one of our favorite things to help show you maybe something a little savory. We've been doing a lot of sweet stuff, so let's get this show on the road. So this dish actually calls for parboiled rice, which I could not find in any store near me. So I'm going to show you a little hack that I found according to Google. So I'm taking some medium grain rice here because it's our favorite and what I had on hand, and I need 1 cup of it. To my 1 cup of rice, I am now going to add some boiling water. It doesn't look like it's boiling right now because I pulled it from the kettle like a minute or two before, so it's settled down, but I'm adding just enough of this hot water to cover the rice, and then I am letting it sit for at least 20 minutes. While our rice is sitting and getting ready for us for later, we need to get our veggies together, and I am starting off with chopping up 1 large onion. Next, I'm going to dice up 2 bell peppers. The original recipe actually calls for a yellow and a red. I had an orange and a red. You could use whatever 2 pepper colors you would like or whatever you have, but dice them up and get them ready to go. With our veggies all ready, we now need to talk about the canned goods. For this recipe, you're going to need some canned corn and some black beans. For me, I'm using the fire roasted corn because I just think it tastes really delicious in this dish, and some low sodium black beans. You want to make sure that you strain both of these and get all that extra liquid out because you don't want that. If you need extra liquid later on, we could talk about that later. But for right now, you need 1 cup of this fire roasted corn. Now for your beans, you're going to need an entire 15-ounce can of black beans. So go ahead and drain those in your mesh colander, and then you can just add them to the container you have your corn chilling in right now because you're going to need them at the same time later on in the recipe. Now it's time to move to the oven. You're actually going to need the stove. I don't know why I said oven, and you're going to need a large skillet for this. So whatever your largest skillet is, maybe you should grab that one. This can get pretty full. To your skillet, you shall add 1 tablespoon of olive oil or whatever oil you would like to use. I am using the avocado oil spray from Trader Joe's, and I am setting this over a medium-high heat to get it hot before I add my diced onions. We are going to cook our onions for about 2 minutes before we then add our 2 cloves of minced garlic. If you're like me and you don't like mincing up garlic and you cheat and use the jar stuff, 2 teaspoons worth. And right after you add your garlic, you are tossing in your 1 pound of ground beef. I am using 80/20 here so that we have a little bit of like nice fat content. So right into the pan that goes with the onions and the garlic. Go ahead and break that beef up and let it go until it's brown and cooked all the way through. Once your beef is thoroughly browned and everything looks cooked through, you are then going to stir in your diced peppers and cook for 1 more minute. Now we need to talk about our rice again. Your rice should have been sitting in that hot water for at least 20 minutes and while you were getting everything else done and taken care of. And now you need to drain that water off. So go ahead and toss that into a mesh colander and drain all that excess water off to have just your rice left over. That rice is now going to be added straight into the skillet. After you toss in your rice, you are going to add your fire roasted corn and black beans. Then you are going to need some tomato paste. How much tomato paste? You're actually going to need just 1 tablespoon's worth, which this big can clearly is more than I need. It's currently sitting in my fridge still waiting to be used. So maybe don't be like me and buy the tube stuff, which is actually a lot better, but I digress. You are also going to need 1 tablespoon's worth of taco seasoning. And if you're like me and realize that you only have 1 tablespoon to measure everything out with, you realize before doing your tomato paste that maybe you should measure out the taco seasoning first so that the mess is less. That rhymed. Side note, it now occurs to me rewatching the video as I record this that there are 2 sides to the tablespoon and I could have just used 1 for the seasoning and 1 for the tomato paste. Don't judge. I'm tired. I'm just so tired some nights. So it's okay. Next time. At this point, you might be wondering, why is she not stirring any of that up yet? It's because I'm not done. You now need to add 1 full 16-ounce jar of chunky salsa of your choice. Whatever heat level you would like, from whatever brand you would like, whatever chunky salsa floats your boat, you need to add a 16-ounce jar of it to the skillet. After you add your salsa, you're going to add 1.5 cups of any broth you would like to use. I chose to use beef broth because we were using ground beef, but you could totally use vegetable broth and I feel like it would turn out just as good. Give this all a good mix, get it all nice and mingled and getting to know each other, and then you are going to let this simmer for at least 20 minutes. So I did give this a stir about every 5 minutes while it did simmer, just to make sure that there was no rice or anything stuck to the bottom of the skillet getting overcooked and that everything was getting exposed to the liquid that seemed to be pooling on the top. So give this a good stir every few minutes to make sure everything is still nice and evenly cooking. You're going to be able to tell that this is close to being done when there's very little liquid pooling at the top anymore and it's starting to look like it's all been absorbed by the rice and everything else in the dish. So there's not going to be a whole lot of excess liquid left over. It's all going to look very uniform and together. However, if you start to notice that your dish is looking a little dry, like all of the water has been absorbed and it's just looking very unappealing, and that your rice doesn't look like it's getting cooked all the way through, go ahead and add a little bit more broth. Start with 1/4 of a cup or 1/3 of a cup, a little bit at a time, until you start to see everything pool together and everything looks nice and plump and juicy and delicious. Serve this hot and fresh and topped with a little bit of your favorite cheese like we did here. You could also add sour cream, another personal favorite. You could add some chopped cilantro. That would be delicious. You could do all of them. You could add cheese, sour cream, and cilantro. You could even add some pico on there. Just dress it up any way you would like to, and I promise you, you can't really go wrong. Like I said, personal favorite, sour cream and a lot of hot sauce, because I like things really spicy, but that's just me. So I hope you give this Tex-Mex skillet a try, because it really is super easy. You just throw it all together in one pan and cook it up and you're good to go, and it feeds a lot of people. You can eat it for leftovers for forever. But I'm just saying, I digress. I hope you try this. If you do try it, please let me know in the comments down below. I will leave the link to the original recipe down below as well. And as always, I hope you enjoy National Eat Whatever You Want Day. So hopefully maybe you just eat whatever you want day, and I will see you next week. Bye.